So, what I'm talking about today is, I'm sure, something that you've seen happen in your own life. And if you're anything like me, it's something that you occasionally need life to remind you of sometimes. And what I wanted to talk about was the fact that each moment is made of infinite possibilities. I know there are times in my life where a smile just from a stranger has completely changed my day and shifted my state and turned the next few hours just completely around. And there's also been times in my life where a conversation or a chance meeting or an invitation has absolutely set my life on a different track. And each of these things occurring within one specific small moment. And like I said, that small moment can just completely change the trajectory of your life. And I've spent a lot of my life in stuckness, and I know what it feels like to be there. And so I really notice sometimes when these things happen and the stuckness gets burst open and things just change for me. But still there's this habit of going through life really closed and not open to those possibilities. And I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about that and about what it is that stops us from just being open to that possibility that's there in every moment of our life. And one of the things that is going on is that we live in such a chaotic, messy world that we're kind of, to get through that, we sort of blinker ourselves and just shut our vision down, and we only see what we're expecting to see, and we're trying to make it through the next thing. And I think that can really limit our ability to experience the unfolding of each moment, like in its fullest sense. And even when a moment happens that does change things, sometimes it'll be very short. I remember one time I was just going up to the store, and I was stressed out and depressed, and it was a Safeway store. I just walked up to the automatic doors, and a woman walked out and just gave me this giant smile as she walked past me. And it just changed everything. For the next few hours, I was like, it just gave me a high, and I just saw everything for the next few hours in a different light. I remember the intensity of those next few hours. I don't think it changed that much in my life. And part of it, the sense when I'm looking back on it, is it's like there was all this stuckness and it got cracked open for a moment just by this woman's openness. And then it kind of came back in together. It's just my habitual closing up kind of kicked in. And so I did get that little taste of different possibilities and a different way of seeing things and a different way of being in myself for a short while. But just the habitual closing up and focusing on all my problems and how do I get to the next thing kicked back in. I studied Zen for a long time, and one of the things I got really good at was deeply focused meditation. And I remember going for an interview with my teacher. We would do our meditation Sundays, and you would take your turn and go in and see the teacher for a few minutes. And something he said that kind of startled me, because I thought this was the whole point of what we were doing in Zen. But he said that, you're really good, Dave, at honing in and focusing really, you're just concentrating all your attention on one spot. He says, you got that down, that's great. So maybe now it's time to sort of broaden that out a bit. And it was a shock to me, because I thought that's all that Zen was about just focusing in on each moment. And I didn't know how to take that advice, and it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. But now I see it as a really beautiful gift, that sense of, yes, we do tend to sort of bypass the moment completely, but also focusing just so concentratedly on one little point. That can get us in a sense of stuckness too, and just this invitation to broaden out and take in the whole. I don't know, that just made a real big difference to me. And I think one of the reasons there is such infinite possibilities in each moment is because it's the whole of existence meeting us. It's everything that is meeting us in its wholeness. It's huge. It is infinity itself meeting us in that moment. And so the only reason we can't enjoy that or experience that more fully is because we're meeting it in a closed way. So to be more open to the possibilities, to be less focused on our own narrow agenda for making it through today, and just to approach each moment with a sense of openness and lightness and let's see what happens here, I think is a way to sort of access that sort of wholeness of life and that infinite sense of each moment. And I find that when I try just to be open and just to be available to whatever's happening, it brings up this natural sense of curiosity about, well, what's going on here? And when something happens, I'm just sort of more open to like being open to the next thing and to the next thing and to the next thing, and to allow these things to sort of unfold. And I still do have that thing where I can be open for a while and things will happen and beautiful conversations will unfold and these lovely sweet synchronicities will kind of come in and change things and freshen life up a little bit. But I do still notice sometimes just that habitual closing in and that focusing on what my mind wants to make of this moment, or this time or this day, how to make it through to the end of the day, whatever the mind's goals are. And so it's really important to maybe have some time to think and take down notes, or just record what's a few moments in your own life where things have just sort of switched on a dime. I had a moment over 20 years ago where I was invited to an event and just impulsively said yes to the thing, and without even knowing why or what. And at that event I met some people, and through those people a few months later I met my wife, and it was all due to that just one response in that one moment, and this just whole trajectory of life unfolded. And I've been thinking about this idea of the wholeness of each moment and all the possibilities it contains, because we live in a time that makes us feel very constricted. It feels like the possibilities are closing in, and there's a sense of urgency, and so many things are going on, and there's this great state of overwhelm that we're in, and it kind of almost pushes us into that survival mode. But no matter what's going on in the world, I don't think it changes that fact that each moment is meeting us in its wholeness, and the wholeness of each moment is the wholeness of everything. And if we can open up a little bit to meet that wholeness, it just makes all the difference.